Yes, thank you for keeping it locked right here to WVENT. Of course, you know you're listening to Angie the Voice Montoute. And I'm very pleased to say that we do have the Honourable Mr. Phillip J Pierre in studio with us right now. Good morning, sir.
Thanks, Angie. Morning, and morning to all your listeners.
Yeah, it's a privilege to have you with us. Just to let you know that Ricky McDoon will be joining us. He's on his way, I'm sure. He could even be walking up the stairs as we speak. But, you know, it's every Wednesday we tackle politics with a twist, with a difference, you know, hopefully. And by the way, listeners, the lines are open, 4528368. And what I wanted to look at today is the sense that politics, I always hear this term and use it myself, that politics basically is about life. And sometimes we like to separate politics from life. Particularly, you'll hear people who say they are not interested in politics. A lot of the time because of the Roro and the showboating, and a lot of it can look very, very negative. What do you say about that?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for having me. I'm very happy to discuss these issues with you. I agree with you that politics is about life, and life is politics. Now, sometimes when we say the word politics, we take it only at the macro level, the politics of a country. But everywhere there's politics. There's politics in the home, there's politics in the church,
in the office.
But what we do is that we have a connotation about politicians, right? And that has been fed by many people. So you find people see the word politics or politicians as bluffers, liars, thieves, people who get up in the morning and plan to destroy the country, and people who have absolutely no regard for the people that they seek the votes from, etc. All of that is not true. Like in every walk of life, there are bad people in there and there are good people in there. I'll be the last one to tell you that every politician espouses all the virtues of chastity, and all these other virtues. I'll be the last one to tell you that. But to castigate and to put all politicians in one pile, I think it's very wrong, because somebody must run the country and somebody will always run the country. And of all the systems that have been tried, the system of democracy seems to be the one that is working the best. Not perfect.
Okay, let's just go back a little bit, all right? Because where you make a good point that all politicians cannot be and are not all, let's just use in quotes, bad, all right?
Yes.
But why do we see and hear so much of what we do see and hear from politicians?
Because
is negative.
No, because
and ferocious.
That's what's advertised. I'll tell you something. You go to a public meeting, okay? A guy speaks for 30 minutes, okay? The only thing that's highlighted is what they believe would create some controversy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's highlighted.
Yeah.
I have that from my personal experience, and I've been there for quite a long time. You say 30 minutes, 28.5
seconds, or less. Yeah.
Yes. You say, and then so it's the perception, and people do. You say this of it. There is a lot of. I want to use my words carefully because, you know, especially now, you always misquoted, and you know, there's a lot of awe that surrounds politicians, right? But politicians are regular human beings that have their faults, they have their virtues. But the thing about politics is that you're only there for a certain length of time, and that's the beauty of our system. You're not there forever. You understand? And I don't think that people who criticize us and attack us understand that we are only there for a while.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. For a while, and also a normal human being, right?
And for a while. And when in our system, life after politics, okay, can be very, very rough. And there are many examples on both sides.
Well, you know,
and that is why
we must talk about that, life after politics. I'm very interested with what you just said, but I just want another little thing, because you've been very candid here this morning, which I think is fantastic. given you are the Deputy Prime Minister as well. And but when you say about something that you've said being taken out of context or a soundbite, so 30 minutes and only 20 seconds used, what would you say with regards to the comment, Guy Mayors can jump high, jump low?
It is. I'll tell you something further. Look at football.
Yeah.
Soccer, football. Look at how the coaches share some serious banter before the match, after the match, during the match. Nobody speaks about it,
That's true.
No one speaks about it, right? Now, if you say a man can jump high and he can jump low, that means he can try hard, he can try harder, he can do whatever he wants, but in my opinion, he won't make it.
Yeah.
And that's a fact. He's tried twice. So that is a fact. He might try again and win, but the fact is he's tried twice and he's lost. Now there's nothing untrue in that. But I'll tell you something. Politicians are always a target because we are good material. Because many people think that we have the power that we really do not have. You understand? A lot of people ascribe to politics a lot of power, and we really do not have that power.
That's interesting.
I'll tell you something.
Illustrate that.
Look at the government treasury. A well-functioning system. The minister cannot go into the government treasury and take money to spend. There's an entire process to that. Our salaries. Many people just exaggerate and say these guys make a lot of money and things. So our salaries, it hasn't changed. And again, I get criticized bitterly when I say that. But as I've always said, while I am a public figure, I accept all criticism. It's part of my job.
But let us look, because this is a program. We really want to be educating people, right? You've just made a comment for me which resonates, because a lot of people do think that politicians are making a lot of money.
Okay, I'll tell you our salary.
Yeah.
Now that's a public document, anybody can see, but nobody takes the time to check it out. Our salary is $7,300 a month.
Wow.
Okay. Taxable. We pay tax on that, and we get $3,000 allowances. That's all we get. Now, we pay our lights, we pay our water, we pay our insurance, we put gas in our cars, we get no duty-free allowances for cars.
You don't?
No, we don't.
You don't get petrol?
We don't get petrol. We pay our insurance. Only what we have is access to a government vehicle during working hours. And the Prime Minister...
Not in the evening?
Not in the evening. And the Prime Minister is very, very strict on that. During working hours, after 6. Or unless we have... Sometimes, even though we have a function to go to.
Yeah, that's what I was coming to.
We may, most times not. After that, the government vehicle is packed. So you have your own private vehicle. Now, these are things people, they either choose not to know. And the people who tell people that know differently.
But you see, then surely that means that we have an issue, and this is not just in St. Lucia, this is worldwide as far as I'm concerned. I always I look at the media, and I would take the media to task with regards to what it reports and how it reports certain things, because the media could choose to make it a little bit more balanced, but they tend to go towards sensationalism.
But you see, I would prefer, for my own survival, not to say anything about the media.
But I can, because I'm a media person.
And I'm not running away. I'm not running away. But I'll tell you something. In the history of St. Lucia, now, the St. Lucia Labour Party, its history is not anti-media. You may not know that, but under the United Workers' Party regime, radio stations were closed. Radio Caribbean was closed, literally closed down. They were told to get off the air. Radio Kilibui was put off the air. Alva Clark, the manager of Radio St. Lucia, was fired for broadcasting an issue that happened in the Dennery North area. Radio stations were called to say not to play certain songs, especially in the Calypso season. They were instructed radio station in particular, not to play certain songs. Don't play it.
Songs that were obviously political, right? Yeah.
Now, some people will tell you that the Labour Party did not create press freedom. Of course not. The Labour Party never created press freedom. The environment became more conducive for press freedom. What is happening now is that that politicians choose to defend themselves. And I think that's where the whole issue is. Because I'll tell you something. In our system, we believe that politicians must not defend themselves. Okay? And particularly when we may have a grouse with a particular politician, personal, policy, or otherwise.
But you know, when you say that we believe that they must not defend themselves, I would say from my perspective is very young, in the sense that I haven't been here for that long. But it seems to me as though they do defend themselves.
And when they defend themselves, they are castigated as being anti-press, as being stupid, as being useless, as being all kind of names. Look at the names that we've been called by certain people, and we can't say anything, you know. If we see anything, we call them more names. You understand? So
is it dangerous territory, really, when you're a politician?
It's very dangerous territory, especially if you happen to be on a side that somebody doesn't like. Now, if you're on a side, and then so what happens is that you choose, and I have no problem with that, because I believe that the people are supposed to choose whatever sides they want.
Yeah, that's a democracy, isn't it?
What annoys me is a semblance of impartiality.
Explain now, because you look very passionate about that.
When you pretend to be impartial and you're not. Now, something else. There's something on, and let me just go back a little and tell you. Sometimes I feel and I've said to my friends in the press that I feel very concerned about them, because they don't have the expertise, they don't have the research, they can't do the research, they haven't got the staff, the capabilities to do the research, etc. CNN runs something that's called a truth check.
Yeah.
Good. A politician says something, and you check it out. You see whether it's true or whether it's not true.
Well, that's journalistic, isn't it?
That's it. Now, I challenge you. Most of the things that are said on a political platform that people broadcast and sound and appear to be fact and say that's fact, if you put a truth check on it, you say it's not true. Now,
what's the ratio, would you say, though? Would you say that's like 90% not true, 80%? What ratio would you put on that? Make it liberal, you know.
Okay. Some statements are made all the time on the platforms of the United Workers' Party. Half of them are not true. Half.
Okay.
Factually incorrect. Factually, in terms of fact. Not in terms of perception. There's a difference between perception and fact. Now, if someone has their own perceptions, but the mixture of opinion, perception, and fact is what's causing the issue.
And they're very different things, aren't they?
Extremely different things.
Look, let us go to a break. We're going to go to a quick break. I'm happy to say that Ricky McDoon has just walked in, so let us go to a break. When we come back, welcome back to the show. And as always, we have our little chat in between the break. But just in case you're just joining the show, what we're talking about, we're going to pick up from where we were. And Mr. Pierre, you were talking about there's a difference, which I agree with you, by the way, between facts and perception. All right? Let's just carry on with that.
I'll give you a fact. The fact is, the solution economy came from a deficit position of 8 point something to 3.5%, and it grew by 1.7%. That's a fact. Measurable and can be proved based on economic data. That's a fact. Perception, they may have been growth, but there wasn't growth in this area, that area. Perception. Opinion, even though there was growth, in my opinion, it should not have been there, it should have been that area. I don't know if I'm clear.
I understand.
When you mix the three of them together,
not the same.
Not the same.
And that's where we get all of the
And that's
Roro and the
right.
Mepui and everything.
Now I want to come to the Roro and Mepui, which have to, I tell you something. People, and it's something that has been pushed about politicians behave badly in the House of Assembly. These guys behave so badly. St. Lucia's House of Assembly is one of the best places in the world.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
The behavior in the St. Lucia's House of Assembly is one of the best behaved parliaments in the world.
But I've seen some things in that.
In our parliament?
Yes,
Yeah.
I have.
It's one of the best behaved parliament. Because,
Whoa.
you see, let me tell you why parliament must be like that. You see, parliament, and again, I know I'll get criticized, but as I say, that's part of my job. Parliament cannot be a sterile place. The parliament's got to be jocular. It's got to be interactive. Because people that are elected, and it's the only place you can say whatever you want.
But good morning, listeners. Good morning,
good
Mr.
morning, Ricky.
Minister. Good morning, Angie. Mr. Minister, could it be that the perception that we have about our parliament in terms of the behavior of the members of parliament is because that we are fairly new in terms of broadcasting live parliamentary debate? Because, this is not something that has been ongoing for
50 years.
For 50 years.
And again,
And
it's
so
because
people-
our government is the Labour Party who made that possible.
Right.
Right, good.
Yeah, but even though the Labour Party might have
Yeah.
made it possible, I think the point that
And that's what you're saying. And people perceive based on what they see
In parliament, because this is
No,
something
but
recent, fairly new to us.
yeah, but what
you're
else
right.
do we have but what we see? If we've seen certain things, we've seen it, right?
Have you seen the British House of Commons?
Yes, I have. Yes, I have.
Or the Taiwanese Parliament?
Or Donald Trump at the moment. My
And
gosh.
that is why it is necessary for
Education.
and that is why we are here. The show really is about to educate the masses, to educate the populace about the working of government and the working of politics in our country, and so that they are better informed, and so they are not going to. One of the things that I've always said is that we set a higher standard for our politician than we set for ourselves. And the politician comes from this very same community and the
From
same
ourselves.
background from us.
Yeah.
Well said.
So if we do not set high standard for ourselves, then we can't expect to get a politician, because he has entered the political arena, for him to automatically transform and become a better person.
Okay, I'll get an example. Politicians have been called frogs, fat pigs, frogs, yes, frogs, fat pigs, useless, on the air. Fine.
And you're saying that the media call or people.
Yes.
And but if the politician were to
But Ricky,
retaliate,
let
now,
me just hear this.
Okay. No,
Because
it doesn't.
Frog's pigs.
It doesn't pertain to me because I'm neither frog nor pig nor am I overweight.
Right.
So it doesn't apply. But politicians are called that on radio. I called a guy short.
Which he was, he?
I was castigated
As
And
a
it is.
fact.
Now, everywhere in the world, you have people talk about in sports. You have 6'8", a big guy, or he's a small guy.
Yeah.
So nobody said anything about it,
but
no one.
But Mr. Pierre, maybe calling somebody tall or big is a compliment rather than
Why?
if you call
Napoleon
somebody
was short.
Well,
Prime Minister Douglas is short. I mean, what? Michelle is short.
But maybe
Owen Arthur is short.
isn't it about the context, though? Really?
No.
Do we
Listen.
need to get personal in politics?
But what's
really?
personal in calling a guy short?
Why not talk about his character or whatever it is you want to say without referring to anything that's about a bodily characteristic? What about that?
No, but all right. Supposing somebody asks you to go down the road and you see Phillip J Pierre, how will you describe him?
Well, that's different. If I
That
have
is
to
the
describe
context,
you,
yeah.
Huh?
that's why I said about if I have to describe you in a crowd, then I'll have to use certain statistics
Yes, you
like
have
your
to.
height, your color,
My colour,
whether
exactly.
you're male, female.
Now you think I'll get
clothes.
I think I'll get annoyed for that.
No.
Huh? When I run elections for the first time, my opponent called me a little black boy. I never got offended.
Well, to be quite honest with you, I believe that political peacock and this kind of thing has existed in our politics
But
for
we
the
just-
longest while.
yeah.
And I don't think it is worse now than it was back in the 1960s, 70s, and 80s. I think the situation has come. What is happening now is that the media, and because of social media, you pick up on things a lot easier than you would have in time past. So they make a big fuss about it. But I'll be honest.
I think there's more to it. I'll take it one further.
Yeah.
I think what the media does, you see, in recent times, and I'll go for about 30 years, and that includes the UK and the US, it's not just about reporting the news. It's about making news.
Exactly.
Okay, and breaking news and sensational news and sound bites and replay and replay and repeat and repeat. And we've got into this. It's almost like, in the UK we have two forms of press, right? You have broadsheet and you have gutter press. And for me, a lot of what I'm seeing
what
is
do we
very
have here?
gutterish.
I didn't say that.
Well, I'm a media person. I can say what I
But
think.
one of the things that I observe, and I'm going to make an observation of what I saw on Sunday, and I believe that this kind of thing, we need it more in our politics. I listened to the delivery by the endorsed candidate for Castries Southeast on Sunday on television, and he did not mention his opponent once in his delivery. And I think that was very commendable, because he concentrated on what his direction, where he is and where he wants to go.
Policy.
And he completely left him out of the fray entirely.
What do you say to that, Mr. Pierre?
That was his style. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But I can assure you, his opponents will not do him that. But that's his style. And in your first, as Ricky said, it's good that he saw that he could have delivered a policy statement. But under hustings, it will change, because his opponent will not be as nice to him.
So, but what are your personal views then?
My
in terms of
personal
what you
view
would like
is
to
that
see.
politics is about your person, or what you are as a human being. Okay? Now, people can say whatever they want about you. Once in your own conscience it's not true, it ought not to affect you, except when the person is breaking the law. Alright? So if you're a politician, your skin must be thick. Now if you don't have a thick skin, you stay out of it.
Don't go into
Don't
politics.
go into it. Because I got football. Look at how football coaches attack each other.
Yeah.
Football coaches. But in debates, when you're at school and you are in the debate, you attack the person who's going up against you. But all in a sudden, in St. Lucia, we want to create, as if politics is a thing in a bubble, and if you call a man short, or where a man was born, you've broken the world. I mean, that is hypocrisy at its highest.
Mr. Pierre, now that you've said so, and I think you're playing a game of football, and they're going to be, you're going to come hard at your opponent. But does that mean that you are actually vexed, or you're not in a talking mode with your opponent? And I think one of the things that we need to inform the masses is that some people take politics so serious that they get vexed with each other, but the politicians themselves are not usually vexed with each other. And perhaps you can take us to your relationship in terms of your dealing with your other members of parliament that are on the opposite side. What sort of relationship that you have with them in terms of your camaraderie?
Okay, let's put it this way. I hate nobody in politics. I don't hate people, right? I don't, and I never get up one day to say, today my motive is to do this my opponent harm. Right? That's not been my experience from my opponents. My opponents have sought to do me deliberate harm.
And how were you able to deal with it?
Because I'm a very tough guy.
But is it
And
also
I understand politics.
But is it also to do with your character as well?
Possibly, but I'm a tough guy, and I always think I will survive, because I worked for myself through most of my life. I've been self-employed,
But let me ask you
and
this
most of my
question.
life When I was in opposition, I was also self-employed.
I want to ask you a question, though.
And I'm not a lawyer.
That's a heavy statement. I think we have to come back to that one. But I want to ask you this. You phrase your answer in a way that you don't hate anybody, but that's not the case for whoever in the opposition. Let's just leave it open, right? Is this a color thing, as though nobody in your party doesn't hate anybody in the opposition?
I can only speak for myself, but I can tell you, I have never sat in the cabinet of the Labour Party and heard the Prime Minister or anybody else plan to do anybody harm.
But take us through.
And I'll tell you, so looking at you, looking at I've never sat in the cabinet and heard the Prime Minister plan to do anybody harm. Plan it out to say, today we're going to do this guy harm by doing X, Y, Z.
Hold on. You see that silence is golden. That speaks volumes. Tell me about your comment with regards when you said that you're not a lawyer. What do you mean by that?
Because lawyers are the only ones who have independent professions. Nobody can affect them. Lawyers go to court, and lawyers depend on clients. I am a management consultant. I get affected by the banks, by clients, some clients. I'll tell you something. I've had the experience of getting a job from overseas, and the guy calls and says, listen to me, I have your contract ready for you, but I need to make a call. And I send the email immediately. That email has never come. And I know who said what to who, when, and how.
But you know what amazes me, and I'm sure, Ricky, you would agree with this. Sometimes we think it's those of us who are not at your level, you know.
Who get victimized?
Yes, in that regard. But victimization is something which you hear a lot of, you know, across the board in St. Lucia. You know.
And that's what we spoke on
Yes.
the last program we had.
Yes.
We spoke about marginalization of some of our human resources that we have available to us, and and I gave an example of one particular person that we never used. Pat Brown, for example, I think we spoke of him, that when he came down with all the experiences that he had accumulated in New York and all that, and we never used his expertise to develop this country.
And you know, you're in a position, you know, you're one step away from the top job in the country. What are you actually doing? What is the party actually doing with regards to this victimization?
Okay, I'll give you something. Again, fact. When you came into government, there was the Hurricane Thomas had just passed, and we're dealing with the Hurricane Thomas rehabilitation. The consultant that was employed by the last government, we kept him fraud up to now. Simply, he was doing his job, so he continued doing his job. I wouldn't tell you they will not. Now, another thing that people do not understand is sometimes a lot of pressure comes from your supporters because they see what they went through. And he says to me, it's my turn now. Why is that guy still working? When we were working, when you were in government, that guy victimized us. And why is it working? A lot of these things come from people who have felt it. But so that consultant stayed there. He's there up to now. Now, if our government got involved in victimization, that would be the easiest place to begin the victimization.
One of them, yeah.
Because it's a big job. It was given by a direct award. It wasn't given by contract, so you could break it easily. But we kept him because the guy was doing his job. A lot of the victimization is perception. But I'll tell you something. Our government has got bitterly criticized by our own supporters that tell us we are not seen about our own.
You know what I want to. You know what I want to.
Oiling your political machinery.
They say that now.
And so how do you balance the two in terms of looking at the development
and the Prime Minister has always said that he wants the better person for the job.
But why? You see, I'm
the perception?
Right, because I'm glad to hear you say it.
Because people never examine themselves and see where in their business are they not doing well. Is their marketing correct? Are they doing the right things? Was their contract or the application properly done? Did they have the right team? Did they do the job properly? Did they deliver on time? Did they optimize the resources they were given? They never look at these things.
Yeah, but Mr. Pierre,
Yes.
these things that you're saying, you know, I think they're definitely valid. Because there are times when people are not looking at all the things that you've illustrated. But there are too many people, whether it be yellow or red, that talk about victimization. I lost a contract here as soon as the government got in, whichever government. You know, I've seen, I think, 3 governments come and go. And that's all I hear.
No.
So there must be a level, culturally, I think there's a culture of victimization within our
there's no
society.
level. I'm glad you said so, and I'm sorry to read you just now. There are certain, when a government in the United States changes, everybody goes with them. But you know, but that's things we don't think, you know, and we call it victimization. When I walked into the ministry, I walked there and got the same permanent secretary that the other minister had. The only thing we changed in the public service. And you see, and again, these are things people just repeat without thinking. A minister only has a say in the appointment of his permanent secretary and his personal secretary.
Really?
Or a say.
A say,
Really?
He's not the one selected.
No,
Really?
a say.
Illustrate that, please,
Okay.
because that is information, isn't it? Ricky, what
You
is it?
come in and you have a permanent secretary. Prime Minister says, you're in the ministry, here's the permanent secretary. Because you must understand, again, it's not like the American system. The American system, there's a time of transition.
Yes, there is, yeah.
There is no transition in our system. There's no transition. You begin to pack your bags. I begin to pack mine already.
Do you think that's a flaw?
It is a flaw in our
Yeah,
system,
yeah.
but we follow the British system. And we assume, the Constitution assumed that people would behave in a conventional manner.
We have a call coming in. Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Thanks for joining us.
Yes,
You have
I want to ask Phillip J Pierre.
Could you turn your radio down? We're getting a very bad feedback, please. Wow, that's quite a feedback.
Hello?
Yeah, it's still, I wonder if you could turn your radio down, or maybe you need to go to another room away from the radio. That's a bit better.
It's okay there?
Not bad. Go ahead. Go ahead. Caller, go ahead. Ask your
Yes.
question.
I want to ask Mr. Phillip J Pierre something about the job.
Which job?
About the interview, the government give them children, the young children, and up to now, he not yet called them for a job.
Could you be more specific?
Thank pardon?
Could you be more specific? Do you know anything about what she's talking about, Mr. Minister?
So what is this? Is this some sort of...
Or she probably may be speaking about people who were called by the NICE program for interviews that haven't been employed.
Okay.
But that's that they haven't had the resources yet to employ them. The government can't employ everybody. It never had, it never will.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, I heard it because I have three young daughter that went for that job and
Which
They
job?
go
Which
for
job, ma'am? The job is
interview.
nice. With nice.
nice.
Which job?
Yeah, they went in the school. Hold on, the school they have the program for.
the school. They have the
They
what?
went there.
What school, ma'am? Are you talking about nice? What are you speaking? Is it nice?
Yes, nice.
Okay, fine. All right. Here's what happens. What nice does is nice interviews everyone and put it in a database, right? And when an opportunity comes, they call you. Nice already has employed nearly 5,000 people. Now, the government can't employ everyone, but what they do is that they interview you, and probably they might even train you, like they trained many of the folks who took care of the elderly.
Yes, yes.
And when something comes, they will call you. So I'm very sorry if none of our daughters have been called, but it's not deliberate. It's because they haven't had any space for them yet.
They have another one.
Yes.
They send my daughter for training for daycare.
Right.
Yeah, for daycare. And my daughter go for the training. After the training, they interview and up to now they not yet call her.
Well, I think that Mr. Pierre's explained. It's something that hopefully your daughter will be on the database.
Particularly if she's trained,
right?
which is
and
good.
She's trained, and then if something comes about, then she'll get the call. Okay, thank you.
But the training in itself is very good because that person could seek employment elsewhere.
It's the same way when I don't know if you remember, if you can recall, when we sent 300 young ladies to train for nursing in Cuba.
Yes,
we were
yes, I
attacked.
remember.
We were criticized. First of all, it is, as I always tell my constituents, it's better to be trained and educated and not employed yet, but to be neither trained, nor educated, nor employed.
You don't really stand a chance.
You don't stand
You've
a
got,
chance.
and the thing is, it's about training, and this is
then
fantastic.
these people who went to Cuba, they learned, they became bilingual, so they could speak a foreign language. So the whole Latin American scene opened up for them. You understand?
I want to just segue a little bit, because we've two things that are happening in our lovely, beautiful St. Lucia. All right, I know that you know with regards to the increase in sexual violence. All right, what are your thoughts about this, and what do you think we can do as a country? This is not a political question. This is a life question. I want to hear it.
First of all,
from your views, from your heart.
Angie, it must be condemned. It must be. I mean, there are no adjectives you can use to describe it. But what I find is that there are many people who are not qualified to speak on subjects, and they speak on it.
That's true.
You understand? And that's a serious. Like when people ask me about engineering, I say I'm not an engineer. I take advice from engineers. Too many people in St. Lucia are everything. You understand? We need to have what the economist calls division of labor. Let experts speak on things. I am no expert in sexual behavior or sexual deviancy. I don't know anything about it. Right? What I know is rape is a crime. I've spoken to people who have been date raped, and it still bothers them. Date
course.
raped,
Yeah.
Date, I mean, going out with somebody that you know.
Yes, and
You
you're
had dinner with
attracted,
them,
and you're attracted to as well initially.
and it still bothers them. So I don't know about rape personally, but I can know about people who do. So I can make no excuse for rape, but I can't speak as to the reasons for rape or why it happens. I'm not qualified.
But
to do
what
that.
about as a party? Because you're the ruling party that's in government right now, and the two of you are men. And I know that we do have men who are raped as well, so I should qualify that. But whenever you see a man, you don't know if he's a rapist.
That's a
because the
problem.
big R is not on his forehead, right? And how does it feel for you as men knowing that women are looking at you with an extra eye?
And thinking that you can rape them also.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
How does it feel?
It's a very bad feeling because, one of the things that I've said is it's a societal problem. These things didn't just happen overnight. The direction that we take our children, the way we raise our kids, has a lot more to do with those sort of problems that we are now experiencing in our country. And the problem has to be tackled from the home. It has to be tackled from the home. I am still listening to men on projects, construction projects, and some of the things that they say that comes out of their mouth. It's unbelievable the way they look at the other gender. And so we need to educate. Although one of the things that is so funny about it is those same guys, most of them were raised in a household with only one parent, and that parent was or is a lady. So I am still yet to understand or to fathom how that a woman could raise, and some of the problem has to be blamed on the mother, because I have heard mothers say that I have 4 boys or 3 boys that are going to take advantage for me for what I went through. He's going to revenge what
Yes,
I went through, and
yes.
this is a very terrible way to raise your kids.
Education, we have to come back
Yes.
to. Let me hear what you have to say, Mr.
And
Pierre.
also, what it does, the point you made about looking at all men as rapists is a fact. So you find you men now. So the whole social interaction changes because you can't tell somebody anything but you don't want them to believe.
Yes. You can't say, "Oh, you got
You look-
nice hips."
No, you can't say that.
That could
especially
be a big
if I
sexual
say
harassment.
But one of the things that has been touted around quite a bit in terms of the level of sexual violence is that a lot of people attribute the deportees. And what I want to know is, do we have a database to keep tags on the deportees that are coming in from the United States?
And that's with regards to any type of crime.
Right. And I'm glad you said so, Ricky, because you see, a lot of people ask for a lot of things, but everything has a dollar, a dollar sign behind it.
Very true.
Now the question is,
we've got a caller. Good morning, caller. Good morning, caller.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning. Could you just allow Mr. Pierre to finish what he's saying? But you've joined in with us.
A lot of things have a dollar sign behind it, and no one ever speaks about what has to be forgone. What is the opportunity cost of doing what you want to do?
Yeah, very true. There's a cost. There's a dollar. Cost. All right, caller, please let us have your question.
I have a question for Mr. Pierre.
Go ahead.
Okay?
Yes, we're listening.
There was a project that was promised at the Rock Hall area where the old school was located.
Yeah, I can answer you right away, sir. I can answer you right away. That project... Hang on. No, I know what you're asking. I can answer you. Go ahead, sorry. I know the answer. I know the answer. Go ahead.
And it's a very long time now we are hearing nothing. And we are seeing nothing. And the people's houses in the back there is rotting. And there's a mess going on at the back there. And I expect the representative to give us a better deal, better than that. So, Mr. Pierre, what do you really have to say about that?
No problem. That's the simplest question. That's the simplest question to answer. And let's go back in time in history. In 2005, late 2005, 2006, I had a meeting with the people of Rockall, and I said to them that the lands to the Rockall School would be transferred to the Proud Project, and the Proud Project would deal with rationalization of the land, and it would be sold to the people. I lost government in 2006, and we came back in 2011. For these 5 years, nothing happened. When we came back in 2011, we restarted the Proud Project that had been stopped by the previous government. I'm not condemning them for it. That was their policy. And then we started, but we had to fall in line, in that there were other areas that were there before us. As we speak, and as you know, surveying is taking place in the Rockall area, and I'm sure you know that. The land is being surveyed for the rationalization to take place, and after that, the land is going to be, roads, etc. are going to be marked out, and the land is going to be sold to the residents of the area. So the answer is very simple. It's a work in progress, and we've taken step number 2, which is step number 1 was transferring the lands from the Ministry of Education to the Proud Project. That was done. Step number 2 is the survey.
So the land is going to be sold for the residents, right?
No, listen to me carefully. I don't want you to say what I didn't say. Step number 2 is the land is going to be surveyed. It's going to be surveyed. And as you know, the surveying has started. When the surveying is complete, it's going to be rationalized. In that it's going to be the areas for roads, for footpaths will be done, and then the house spots are going to be demarcated. And then they will be disposed of at a cost to the residents.
Did you hear that, caller?
Yes.
How does that sound?
Anyway, thank you, Mr. Pierre. I just wanted an answer.
Okay, my brother. Thanks. Thanks for calling.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Here you go. You see? They can just call and get an answer straight away within 2 minutes.
No, that's a fact.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not perception.
That's a fact.
It's happening now. It's happening now.
So you're in stage 2.
Yeah, stage 2.
In stage 2.
What happens that, again, it's a bad thing. If the process had continued,
it would be
done by now.
But one of the things that most of us, we live in an environment that instantaneous We are instantaneous in everything. So we expect sometimes when we speak on something that for it to happen almost overnight. But everything has a process. And like I like the way he answered the question, because really you can't just go and say, because this person is living on that land, I'm just going to sell it. It has to be demarcated. There must be the infrastructure has to be put.
Yeah, but that's what we want.
Right.
We're educated in terms
And
of how things work.
I'm glad, Ricky, you talking about land, because there are a lot of things again people say that are not facts. I'll tell you something. Recently, you heard about a whole hoorah about the George Charles Boulevard, etc., etc., etc. Now, you know, and that's why people. Well, I want to use my words carefully. I've been very careful. Why people say politicians are this and that. Here's what happens in the George Charles Boulevard. The land tenure system in the George Charles Boulevard is in a mess. All right?
Say that again. Repeat that.
The land tenure system. Who owns the land there?
Okay.
A lot of people who lived in the George Charles Boulevard, because you may not know, and you may be too young for that, you may not know, but before, living in the George Charles Boulevard was almost like a symbol, a prestige area to live in.
Oh, really?
That's when Marsha was the capital of Castro.
I didn't know that.
That
Wow,
guy,
that's some history.
Roddy DeCoto lived there. So, you know, but what happened? These people moved out
Right.
and left the houses. They left them. They're in the States. Some of them they moved up north areas. And these houses are virtually abandoned houses. Virtually. So a lot of them, and again, let me use my words carefully, a lot of these houses that were shown on television are abandoned houses that people just stay there. Not all of them. I don't want to be misquoted. A lot of them are abandoned houses. Who will fix an abandoned house if it has no owner?
Or you fix it and then the owner decide, well, it's mine.
You
don't own it.
So you see, so which government can fix an abandoned house if nobody?
You
now,
can't.
So then you get into the position of the land tenure system. Then the issue of disposal of solid waste in the boulevard is a problem of ages. That's a problem that started with me. Deceased Roman Zanzico, God bless his soul, when he saw this problem, he built a public facility outside the boulevard. Again, you might know that. I don't know if you know that. By the Marsha, you know the Marsha grounds?
Yeah.
Yes, I do.
There was a public facility right in the corner there.
Yeah, I remember.
Remember that? And it got blown up in something.
Yeah.
Because Romanos couldn't find a space in the boulevard
in the Marsha
to put the facility.
Oh, really?
So when you have people talking for political reasons, they haven't got the facts.
Yeah.
Here's what I did. I had to acquire land from somebody who had moved out of the boulevard. You know, I can mention the family, the Alexius family. That's where they lived. That's a prominent family. That's where they lived before. But they had abandoned their house before. They had abandoned it because they moved out of the boulevard. So what we did, we acquired that land. And as we speak, and I'm very proud of it. I'm very proud. People who do not know may not be telling me I'm proud of a comfort station. But I'm very proud of it because I know. I don't live there, but I know what the people have gone through. Right now, we're building a modern comfort station as we speak in the same George Charles Boulevard. and I'm saying to you, and people are there, they show the abandonment, but nobody shows the comfort station that we are building. It's nearly $800,000 worth of conversation going in the boulevard as we speak.
800,000.
$800,000.
That's a lot of money.
With a laundry, male and female baths.
Only male and female. What about we need a third nowadays?
I'm coming. Disabled.
Transgendered.
Don't go there.
I don't think there is such a facility anywhere.
Children. Is going to be the most modern facility in the Caribbean.
Really?
Been built with Basic Needs Trust Fund, funded by the Caribbean Development Bank. There was a whole study to do it because the Caribbean Development Bank wanted to ensure that there was sustainability and the people wanted it.
Can I just throw this in?
Yes.
All right, this is a little something. I don't know if you know about it, but I'm going to go to Grosley, the village. All right, and there was a time when you were going to put a road at the back by the sea. All right, that's been a discussion ongoing for about maybe 20 years. Forgive me if I'm a bit off. Desperately, as far as I'm concerned, there needs to be a toilet at the end of Marie-Thérèse Street. When is that going to happen?
Now,
is it going to happen? Can it ever happen?
Now we need to
Please, can we get it happen?
involved.
Don't we have a public...
I think that the minister,
Yeah.
and the minister may call if she's listening, I think that the government just acquired land for that. I think so. I'm not sure, because I think the cabinet just acquired land for toy facilities.
That would
that would
be
be
under
good.
the Carolec project, the redevelopment of the waterfront in Risley.
Okay.
Don't quote me.
No,
I'm
no,
not
no.
sure what's
Yes,
the
I
location, and
understand.
I'm almost sure cabinet facility. So I just want to get back to the George Boulevard. Now, so people go and say,
Very interested in his constituency.
no, I am. No, because it's important. Because the world sees things, and nobody has called me to ask me to defend myself.
No, but it's not even about defend. It's about getting to know you. This is what this is about. Getting to know you, and now we can understand that you have some passion about things and you care about things. You're not hearing? Yeah, we're still there for some reason.
Hello?
Try another pair of headphones. This is live radio, people, so we're just swapping the headphones
Hello?
here. Is that better? How's that?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, lovely. So you were saying you want to get back.
Now, so people speak about putting sewerage in the George Boulevard. Now, putting a sewerage to what houses? Where is the space? How do you deal with it? All the houses, a lot of houses are abandoned. You put sewage in an abandoned house? What's the cost?
But Mr. Pierre, shouldn't we be talking about the redevelopment of the entire Castries Basin
Very
and
good.
the marshy area as well?
Extremely good point. Then you get into the problem of the sociological problem of whether your city must be empty. And that's a discussion that's been there.
Well, only for business.
That's a discussion. So these are not very simple. The discussion is whether your city must have residents or whether it must not have no residents. Have you gone to St. Vincent?
No, I haven't.
After 6 o'clock, Kingstown
Is
is
a
a ghost town.
Is that a good thing?
That's the question. Is it a good
Because
thing?
doesn't it promote crime?
That's a
very
question.
nature,
Yeah,
you know,
now,
and
in
long-term.
Jamaica, they did it by creating a new Kingston.
Yeah.
Jamaica has a new Kingston,
it does.
right? But old Kingston had turned into a ghetto. So, they invite investors to develop Old Kingston. So Old Kingston has all the banks in Old Kingston, but on the other side, the areas when you go into Adult Gardens, these areas, these areas are, I think. So the question is, do you move these people out of Castries completely?
What's your view on that?
My view that people must live in Castries.
Yeah,
People must live in the city.
Integrated.
People must live in the city, right?
I don't share the view that you ought to locate everybody, but I think what needs to happen is that we need to seriously consider the kind of infrastructure and development that, and to build proper homes and better environment.
A modernization.
So here's what we're doing. Good point. Here's what we're doing. What we're doing as a government is that we are trying to improve the quality of life of these people in there. By how? By making a few things that you may take for granted, which are not. Sometime, and I want to take you, but I haven't got time for that. If I'd like you to take you through a little step back in history
Yeah, I'd like that. Go ahead.
to tell you what Castries East looked like in 1997.
And that's not so long ago.
Not very long ago.
You're talking about before.
I thought you were
the
going to
Labour
talk
Party got
some
involved.
real history.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you will see a lot more could be done, can be done, must be done, but the improvement. What we did is we made life more comfortable to people. Let me give an example. As soon as you drove up Marshall Road, there was a whole bunch of pile of garbage
After the Marshall Bridge.
on both sides. Opposite Kada's Bakery, and there was a garbage dump. It smelled. Excuse my language. High up, there was another garbage dump. Garbage strewn on the road, on the streets. First thing we did, we cleared it. We cleared it up. First thing. Now,
And you remove the bin, because it encourages people.
You have a good memory.
Yes,
So
one of the things.
he knows what you're talking about.
One of the things that I must applaud the Labour Party for is that before the Labour Party came into office in 1997, the garbage collection only happened in the urban areas in our country.
Really?
There were no garbage collection in the rural areas. It was only happening in the towns and villages. There were no garbage collection in Moshi and in Babano and these places.
So
and
what,
I think
what
a lot
what
of
did
people
do?
they threw it away, and we had a lot of littering problem in the country as a result.
And there still is, eh?
And that's
Yes.
why there still is, because
Yes.
it's a
The
cultural thing.
It's a cultural thing. There were no.
Now you've explained a lot for me.
The
Then.
only area outside of Grosley that there were irregular garbage collection, and the citizen of that.
Can I just say we have a caller? Good morning, caller.
Good morning. Let me say good morning and acknowledge my parliamentary rep, Mr. Phillip J Pierre.
And who am I speaking to? You said you're parliamentary rep. So
Yes, my name is Sandy Felix Paul.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank
Good
you
morning
for
to you
joining
too.
us. Good morning.
However, I'm just joining in. I started listening to it late, the show late, but I just want to highlight some of the issues that I have with the photos that were placed on SLAP some time ago in reference to Castries East Marshal Rockall Parvey. There were 90% of the photos that were placed or posted on that SLAP, those houses are vacant.
They're vacant.
Pardon?
You said the
They
houses
abandoned
are vacant.
houses.
They are vacant, abandoned houses.
Okay.
Andrea's home in Rockall, which is 2 houses away from my home, that house has been vacant for years. Her brother's house, aka Baba, vacant for years. If you go down the road in Rockall, there is Moreji, who died years ago. That house has been vacant, and her children have moved to the United States. These are the houses that Mr. Alan Chasney chose to put on the slab, making it look like only houses in deplorable conditions Castries East has. Now tell me, is it possible under any government for a parliamentary representative to come into an area
And repair people's
and
houses.
build houses for persons that no longer live in the area?
Well, this is what Mr. Phillip J Pierre has just been explaining to us. And
Wonderful. Like I
Yes.
said, I joined in late, but honestly, I don't think
she
it is
didn't hear what I
possible,
said.
whether it is under the UWP government. I don't think they would even think about it. And if we have to go back to years ago, if we know Marsha very, very well, we would remember all the garbage that Marsha used to have.
this is again
This
what
is-
he's
this
just
is what he
illustrated.
was saying.
I didn't know this.
Well, okay, I am confirming what he is saying, and I am putting a red flag on it, and I want to say, give me five more years for Mr. Phillip J Pierre for Castries East to represent us here at Castries East. I am urging us, St. Lucians, to come out and vote at the time that my Prime Minister is going to sound the alarm for us to come out and vote. If you choose not to vote, then you are only giving the United Workers' Party an opportunity, or you are giving us the opportunity not to represent you anymore.
I want to
So
ask you
please, St.
something.
Lucians, come in.
Madam, can I ask you something, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Let me ask you this, all right?
Go ahead.
If you have someone who has no affiliation, okay, to whichever party, why should they choose the St. Lucia Labour Party? Why, in your opinion?
Okay, let me tell you reasons why persons should choose the St. Lucia Labour Party. The St. Lucia Labour Party is about dedication. They are about motivation. They are about education. They are in the business of keeping persons informed. They are in the business of not looking at color. When we gave out laptops to children at secondary schools, we didn't verify who was a Labour Party supporter and who was a UWP supporter. We gave every student. If you go again to the persons or the students who sat the common entrance, we still didn't verify or even stigmatize those students.
All right, I want to...
Everybody $500 bursary.
I want to ask you one more, all right, one more. In your opinion, what could the St. Lucia Labour Party be doing better? Where have they fallen short for you?
The St. Lucia Labour Party, from my understanding, from what I see, the government cannot do any better from where we are now.
You really think so,
If
Mom?
it could have done better, it would have done, because it would have been done, because the St. Lucia Labour Party is all about doing good.
Okay.
And anybody who supports the United Workers' Party, it is because they are dumb and stupid. They can't.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so
But
much.
maybe Mr. Pierre can answer that question.
I was telling you, I'll tell you something about, and I probably got on some of the time, about how we've tried to change the quality of life. And this something. Arundel Hill, first of all, we've completed all the main roads in the category. Rock Hall, Pavi, Arundel Hill, Bocage, completed. And while it's on Bocage, I want to make that point. I haven't had time to make it before. Some people are complaining that the Bocage road was already good, and we did it over. We did not. What we put on the Bocage road was what is called in the jargon the wearing course, which is the final layer that you put after you resurface the road.
I see.
So that was
the last coat.
The last coat.
Yeah.
Now, so what we did, Arundel Hill, Angie, if you came to Arundel Hill now, at the time, a few years ago, you would have found more than 50 pairs of sneakers or old shoes
hanging,
by the road.
Was it hanging on the utility?
No, they were on the road.
Okay.
Because people had to come and change their shoes to go to their home.
Oh, I see. That's interesting.
That was the
That's
reason.
interesting.
So people.
Ooh, the lines are blowing up. Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Mr. Phillip J Pierre, you're talking about road. Who they have to do it? Because it's you all that in the power that have to do it. The government that in the power that have to do the road. So you don't have all that to say on the radio. And the lady that talked there about United Workers Party, I don't even have any name to give that lady. Bye.
Okay, thank you, caller. Well, there you go. You can respond, sir.
So I was talking about how we've changed the quality of life.
We have another call. Good morning, caller.
Hello.
Good morning. Go ahead.
Hi, good morning. Just wanted to, I'm actually from Kachivi.
Right.
I wanted to commend the minister on her job well done. I wanted to thank him for the park, the infrastructure. A lot of what has been done in Kachivi has been done under Honorable Phillip J Pierre. And I can say there is equality, there's no side. Can the Labour Party do better?
What do you
Yes,
mean?
they can.
What do you mean by equality?
Whatever party you support,
Okay.
you are not victimized. You
And-
get assistance.
All right. And another thing that you said, how would you like to see the Labour Party do better? What would you like?
She was getting into that.
Yes, she was. What would you like?
There are a lot of people who need assistance, but due to the fact that funding might not be available, because in order for the government to do a lot of things, fix the roads, the schools, and so on, obviously they need money. Now, in order for that money must come from somewhere, and it would be a little burdensome if they put taxes on people or implement certain policies where they can get revenue. You understand? So a lot of things could be done if there were more resources. That being said, I can say that the Labour Party government is a government who actually works with the people in mind. If you look at the programs that are being implemented, from the NICE to the farm workers program to the school feeding program, all of these initiatives are geared towards assisting people who are at the lower end of the breadline, those mothers who are able to send their kids to school but not able to give them breakfast or lunch. If you look at the NICE workers, these people take care of the elderly who actually are in the constituency but not being taken care of.
All right.
If you look at the $500, this is geared towards parents who had kids who just start common entrance and are entering a secondary school where we have facility fees,
Thank
we
you.
have uniforms and
All right,
so on.
caller. I'm gonna, for the essence of time, we're gonna move along. But thank you very much. All right, thank you. All right.
So
there you go.
So we're talking about changing lives. Now, my theory or my motto in politics is transforming lives and building communities. Now, we built a park in Masha, in a place called Touge. I was criticized for playing politics. Nobody will come there, and this and that. That has done so much to the psyche of the children in that area.
But, and Mr. Pierre, talking about this project, tell me how you were able to achieve the level of success of that project. What did you do different? Because the perception was that it's going to be looted, the people are not going to, because of the history of what has happened. How were you able to
Chief, very good question you asked. You know, people need to be empowered. And people are empowered when they trust you. Now, not all my constituents vote for me, because there are some of them who support the opposing party. And we live in a democracy, and I have no problems with that. But most of my constituents, not all, most of them, they trust me. In that they know I will tell them the truth, and if I make a promise I cannot keep, I will tell them why I cannot keep it, and I don't tell them what they want to hear. Yesterday I was in my constituency. A lady came to me, and she was very, very annoyed in that she wanted a roadway, and I'll come back to you that this is the time, because she wanted a roadway to get to her home instead of a footpath. And if the ambulance is coming, and she's very irate and quarreling with me and saying, so she quarreled. I said, okay, now you want to help me now? Yes. I said, let's put it this way. Let me tell you why it's not possible to build a roadway there. One, you have to survey. In surveying, you will displace houses. Where will you put them? Two, if the roadway car holds 2 cars, you have confusion, because people will park their cars there, and then they won't move the cars, and confusion. 3, when the cars are parked, the ambulance car pass anyhow. 4, how will cars turn around to come from one point to the other?
Yeah.
You know, she said, you know, parliamentary rep, I never saw that. And thank you for telling me that.
Yeah, because you've at least told her the reasons why.
Now, let me tell you what a politician in election mode would say. Yes, we'll build it. Yes, we'll do it, man. Don't vote for me, I'll build a roadway.
But why do they do that in election mode?
Because they don't trust the people.
They believe if they tell the people the truth.
They tell the people what they want to. Like, as the same lady, another lady came to me and said this to me. She said that, because I built a plane facility in Pavi. And if you go there, you'll tell me why you thought it was impossible to build it there. It was I've gone there before, it would look impossible. I signed 2006, 5 years, the last government abandoned it. Said it was impossible, they left it alone. I'm opening it on Sunday, you'll see what happens there. So, she came and said to me, you know, parliamentary rep, this person, I can mention his name, told me to sell the land for him to build a court, and he would buy it. But you know, I wasn't ready yet, and now you came and you had to do it. I said, listen to me. I said, okay, you ready? You listen. I said, listen. I said, government doesn't buy land. When government wants, government acquires land. So if the person wanted to get the land, they would acquire it.
So hold on, let us make a distinction, because this is something that you hear so much of. There's a lot of things tied to land and politicians, from what I hear on the street, so to speak. One, politicians get fat. They transform, they bloom in, they look like they're making money coming out of their ears since they get elected, and they purchase people's land left, right, and center.
You want to ask me?
But you said they don't buy land; they acquire. So
I said government.
Yeah.
So if the person wanted the land to do it, they'd acquire it.
And you were saying that the government under our constitution has the power to
acquire the land.
Yeah, but explain that for our listeners, because
once it's for a public purpose. They don't acquire it for themselves, you know. They acquire it for public purpose.
And how do you acquire it? What do you mean? You see, I understand what it means.
Yeah. How you acquire it is very simple. And the Prime Minister is a constitutional law. He always talks about that. The government literally can just acquire your land. And pay you for it.
Yeah, because that can be like seize your land. Do you understand? You have no choice, no rights. Explain it. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty.
And okay, suppose the government wants to build a playing field.
Yeah.
And the owner has land. They just tell the owner, listen to me, we need to build a playing field. It's published in the Gazette for a public purpose, and the government acquires and pays you the market value.
Can the person say, no, I want my land, that's for my child?
The person can contest it.
The person can contest it, yes.
Will they win?
I think, and I want to be careful in what I say.
Yeah.
I think the High Court, I think
it can be overruled.
Some court, I'm not sure, but I think some court has overruled.
There are instances that the individual would have to present.
Like Bosiju was acquired from someone.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of land acquired. But what about the kind of cost, the price?
No, the cost market value.
Market value?
Yeah, market value. And if you oppose this, something called a board of assessment, that thinks it.
But let's imagine you're a person and you've got 10 children and you've, in your mind, you've segmented your land. It's a huge spot of land for your children.
You can contest. I think you can contest.
If you already have development,
yes.
Then it would be difficult for the government to come in and acquire.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
But I tell you something. Again, that's something. When you see that, people say you play in politics. That was not the story 5 years ago. All the lands for the so-called that development in Viewfort, that big hotel that was supposed to go in for.
What, Cotton Bay?
Not Cotton Bay.
Ritz-Carlton
Hotel.
Yeah.
Well, it was acquired, just taken away from people.
But
and we had to pay it back.
I'm very much interested in giving us the secret as to how you were able to get that project to be successful.
Right.
Because I think there's something in it that we need to learn from.
First of all, I asked the people what they wanted. Because Tours is a very tight community. I asked them what they wanted. There were two choices. The guys wanted a basketball court, you understand? And the people wanted a park. I said, guys, listen to me. You all have a basketball court just next door. Let's give it to the children. So they agreed. Secondly, the people who did the job were from the area.
Precisely. That's what I'm interested.
They employed people in the area.
So that's what works.
So they got that project.
Thirdly,
and they know what they want. They're on the ground.
When we opened it, everybody was involved.
Yeah.
And fourthly, the caretaker doesn't get paid a cent.
Because he just loves it and he wants to make sure.
I mean, this is a story that somebody should study.
We have to go to a break, all right? Because it's just after 1:45. I want to ask you a little something about you now, just for 5 minutes, about the man, all right? And the question I'm going to ask you is, what is it that made you go into politics?
Your voice, St. Lucia. WVENT 93.5, 94.7. St. Lucia Talks.
Hey! You want an easy load? An express load? Come down to Axel. Easy and Axel free. Oh yeah! Come and see. Hey! Axel get it for you and me. Set your worries free. This is guaranteed. Accelerate with Axel. Axel Finance. Loans are convenient. Axel Finance. Helping you move forward. Accelerate with Axel. Accelerate with Axel. Come get a loan at Axel. Come get a loan at Axel. Accelerate your life with Axel. Call us today on 450-8222.
Getting St. Lucia, feeling proud about ourselves. This is WVENT 93.5, 94.7. St. Lucia Talks.
And welcome back to the show. We got about maybe 5 minutes, and then when we went to the break, I just want to get this question in. I don't think we can have the Honourable Phillip J Pierre here, and I'd really love to know, what is it that got you into politics, and you still seem to be very, very passionate about it as well.
Well, let's put it this way. I go into politics for all the right reasons, right? I didn't get into politics to victimize anybody.
Hold on, how old were you? When did this start?
Oh, I can't remember. 2 years old.
Your entry to politics was in 1992, right?
1992, but I lost it.
Good morning, caller. Good morning, caller.
Hello?
Hello, caller, yes.
Hi, good. Is it still morning?
It's still morning,
it is.
yes.
Good morning.
Yeah.
How are you?
We're well.
Okay, good morning to the minister. Hi. I wanted to ask about the Antripo project. I'm not sure whether you've touched on it as yet.
Which one?
The
walls?
The river wall?
The river walls, yeah.
Yes.
Which one? Those happening now?
I talked a couple months ago and I saw that it was under construction and so on. But I know that your ministry has been very, very busy linking this country and linking especially our road network and the bridges and so on. And some people might not see the importance of it so much as why a bridge instead of, but it also for development and for investment and so on to truly have its place. We need the proper infrastructure to do that. And I want to say that your ministry has been in every area with schools and roads and bridges, walls and so on. I think the general project is also on as well. So these are things that I wanted to have an update on, especially the Antripo wall. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Angie will have to come back at some point.
I think so.
The walls in Antripo, and I forgot that. The walls in Antripo were needed because the people's houses were under threat.
Well, that's serious, isn't it?
Under
That has
threat,
to be
right?
done, yeah?
So we went to the CDB, and then they did a program to us. But in the same George Charles Boulevard, we also have a flood mitigation study in the boulevard. You understand? To see how we can mitigate against flooding. And we also have a walls program in the boulevard, which we started last week. So that's taken care of.
It's ongoing.
It's ongoing.
All right, but I want to get back to our question.
So I got into politics under Julian Hunt, right? I went to UE, the University of the West Indies, and at that time it was a time of radicalism.
That's true.
Right? Time of radicalism, the time of consciousness, the time of afros, black power, time of consciousness, right? So Julian Hunt, I came home and then I went to work for JQ Charles.
Can I just ask you, did you have an afro?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Well,
okay.
So JQ Charles. And then I worked for him. I was the first person, apart from his children, with a degree for university grade work for him. Because I always was fiercely independent. In fact, I wanted to be a lawyer. Right? But at the time I went to university, my parents paid for me to go to university. And then because I short-circuited my school, I did not spend 2 years in sixth form. I spent 1 year in sixth form, and I went to university straight from because I got my A-levels.
So you have a brilliant mind, basically.
Were you ever a teacher? A teacher like at the school. So I did my A-levels in 1 year. I taught for 3 months, and I went to university. My father sent me to university, my parents. But I wanted to study law. But when I went to university, the government did not contribute to the economic cost of the law faculty. And it would cost you at this time, apart from the fees, it would cost you something like $15,000 a term to study law.
That's a lot.
That's a lot plus your boarding and lodging at that time. That's a lot. It was the economic, and we could have. My parents were paying for me already. They could not pay the extra economic cost. So I did a degree in social sciences. So when I came home, I went to work and Julian Hunt was leader of the LEPA at that time, the 80s. And Julian Hunt called me and said to me, "Why don't you get involved in the politics?" So I went to a few meetings and minding my own business. And the 87 campaign came, just from school, the 87 campaign came, and I got involved with Elijah Greenidge in the Cashes East constituency.
He was a candidate of the Labour Party
at that time. There were 2 elections that year, the same results.
Nicholas Joseph was the other candidate for the
PLP. Yes, you understand? Remember that?
Yes, against Romana Sansiko.
So, and Romana Sansiko was a giant of a politician.
Yes,
right?
yeah. I've even heard of the name back then.
So,
back then, yeah.
So Elijah Greenidge is the nicest man you could find.
He wasn't a politician, though.
Yeah. The nicest man you could find.
Okay.
He's the nicest guy you could find.
Yeah, that's nice.
God bless his soul. Elijah, anyhow. So, in 1987, Elijah ran, and he lost. So we continued working together with Elijah, a lot of guys now. And then in 1992, I'm at my home resting. Jonathan calls me and listens to me. I have a seat for you. So I said, what seat you talking about? A seat of what?
Really?
What seat of what?
That's amazing.
Yeah. I said, a seat of what? What seat? What seat you talking about? What seat? He said, Cassius is. I said, to do what? He says, I had a meeting last night and the people say they want you to run. I said, John, you're crazy. What are you talking about? At that time, I'd just gone into my own consultancy business. And I had just gone into my own business and I was wondering what's happening to me. So, I may not, many people not know that, but I'm basically a guy who is very disciplined. I can control myself. I do what I want to do. So my parents were alive and they said to me, so my dad said, but if that's what you want, you to do it. And my mom says, well, if your dad says so, well, what can I say? So I began to run in 1992. I ran the East Cassius East seat against Roman Zanzico. And on my parents' grave, I did not know where all the polling stations were.
You came into the election, but you were not prepared.
Absolutely no preparation.
You were green.
Very green. And at that time, there were no red T-shirts. It was a different 1992. Just some school a few years before. No money. Elections, and I must tell you, elections did not demand the kind of money that they demand now. Right? So I ran the election, and I found that I lost that election by 800 votes. And out of these 800 votes, I'd lost by 600 in a particular part of the constituency, which is the Anchipo Sharbot area.
And in that election, the Cassius East constituency was one, or if not the largest constituency.
It was the largest constituency.
Yeah, it was the largest.
Before Gross City. So I realized there is something there.
Yeah.
So from 1992, I began to earnestly say, you see this thing is something I'm going to go into.
You're going to go for it,
right?
Okay.
And then I also get a personal satisfaction by seeing people happy. Now, you may not know that, but for a politician, I'm basically a very shy guy. I hate to be the center of attraction, which may look be impossible for a politician and when people hear me on platforms and things so. But I hate to be the center of attraction. I hate to. A lot of things I do, nobody knows. Nobody knows, and that's why people find it. That's why I seem to be doing so well in my seat, because I've touched many lives and people don't even know. I don't go on television show I'm doing this, I'm doing
that. Yeah, that's not your aim.
My constituents fight with me. Put it on TV, go on TV, show. I mean, I can go on TV and show all the footpaths I've done, I could have done all that, all the houses we've helped to repair. I have done all that, but I don't, because I figure he who knows it, he who feels it most knows it. So all things, I mean, sponsorships, I virtually have spent, let's put it this way, I'm still paying my mortgage after being a minister of government
for so many
15 years.
That just tells us that. Look, we only have like 2 minutes, all right, just 2 minutes, and just very, very quickly, the last word with you. What would you like us to understand about politics?
That it's a noble profession. All politicians are not the same. All men are not the same. All women are not the same. And politics is basically life.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much.
All right. All right. Well, there you go. That's the end of the show. I'm afraid we're almost right up at the hour. And, well, we'll have politics next week. I'm not sure who we're going to have on. It'll be myself and Ricky McDoon as usual. Well, I don't know. Maybe we'll get Gail Rigobert. I'm not sure. We're going to see who we can get on the show. Yeah, we're going to find out. But there you go. The time is now 2 minutes. So let's just put in a little Marvin Gaye. And whatever you're doing, though, you know, I always ask you to care about each other, have some fun, have some fun, and remember that each day, every single day is a blessing. I'll be back tomorrow.